Okay.
You're watching a special presentation of ESPN, home of the College Football Playoff National Championship game, presented by AT&T.
Few ever reach this point. Fewer survive it. Only those who hold on earn a chance at everything. These two teams have clashed before.
Big pressure in the throw to the end zone. Touchdown! Indiana wins it, and they knock off the Oregon Ducks here this afternoon.
A storybook run that keeps adding chapters, and a team ready to slam it shut. Hold on or go home.
Has time rolling over the middle. He's got Baker all the way to 10. To the end zone. Intercepted!
Time after time after time.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
The Hoosiers.
It'd be a hell of a movie.
The Ducks.
Not done yet.
Only what's held carries forward.
This is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And welcome everybody to the Ram Trucks kickoff. A standing room only crowd of more than 71,000, most of them clad in cream and crimson, filing into Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for tonight's college football semifinal. An all Big Ten affair, the number 5 seed, the Oregon Ducks taking on the top-seeded Indiana Hoosiers. Curt Cignetti is the architect of the most remarkable turnaround story in the history of college football. Before he arrived, IU had the most losses in college football history. Now in his second season, his team is the only undefeated team in the country. They stand one win away from playing for national championship, led by quarterback Fernando Mendoza, the Hoosiers' first Heisman Trophy winner. And while IU is a newcomer to this huge national stage, Oregon has been a fixture among the nation's elite. For Dan Lanning, the next step is to win the first national title in school history. They've reached the championship game twice during the playoff era. The Ducks believe they have the best quarterback on the field tonight, Dante Moore. He'll need to play better than he did in the regular season meeting between these two teams if the Ducks are going to upset the Hoosiers tonight. Oregon here by virtue of its home win over James Madison and their shutout victory over Texas Tech in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Indiana is the top seed, received a first-round bye, and then they hammered Alabama in the Rose Bowl 38-3. The winner of this one on to the national championship game in 10 nights to take on the Miami Hurricanes in their home stadium in Miami. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Sean McDonough along with Greg McElroy. Delighted to have you with us. It has been a scintillating college football playoff, and we expect more of the same here tonight. It'll be hard to match that semifinal in the desert last night. But in Indiana, one of the great stories in college football, clearly the best team to this point in the season. They do everything so well, but they know what they're up against tonight in a very talented Oregon team.
It's so hard to beat Indiana. They're so well coached, and they don't beat themselves. They don't make mistakes. But Oregon, they have the firepower and the talent to make this a very competitive football game.
Fernando Mendoza, hard to find a weakness when you analyze his game on the field and his character off the field. So impressive in everything that he does.
He's incredible, and the more you watch him, the more you love him. What stands out is the aggressiveness. It's 3rd and 2. Most guys are throwing a slant in the flat, perhaps, maybe a hitch. No, not him. I'll throw it 57 yards in the air on a dime. And he just does it over and over again, but it's also the precision. He's got a huge arm, but he's so precise in the chemistry with his wide receivers. This one to Elijah Surratt on the back shoulder is always on display. And then the most underrated part of his game is his mobility. He had 3 rushing first downs against Alabama. He can keep you honest with his legs and extend drives because he's pretty athletic when he takes off.
And they're also an outstanding team, second in the nation in scoring defense behind only Ohio State. They held the Oregon offense to 13 points in the regular season meeting.
This defense is my favorite in college football. The way they play together, they have a 1/11th mandate where everyone knows they're a small piece of the pie. But this guy, Hayden Fisher, he's the biggest piece. He's the middle linebacker, and he will be very good throughout this game in trying to diagnose what Oregon's trying to attack him with. They've allowed 1 touchdown in the last 14 quarters.
Those 6 sacks, the most given up by Oregon in any game this season. It was a rough day for Dante Moore, but many people believe, including some NFL folks, he's the better quarterback out here tonight, and if they're going to win, he probably has to prove that.
It has to be the best game of his career, and he can shrink that gap between him and Mendoza, but it's going to require perfection. When things are good, there's few that are more talented than him. He's incredible, but he's going to have to play an uncomfortable game tonight. He's going to have to throw with pressure in his face. He's going to have to throw it in tight windows. He's going to have to be perfect to knock off the undefeated Hoosiers.
Time for our national anthem. Here's public address announcer Tim Hanchey. Two great quarterbacks leading 2 outstanding teams with a trip to the national championship game on the line. The opening kickoff in just a moment. You're watching the Ram Trucks kickoff.
It was a gritty and really great game that came down to the wire.
It's intercepted inside the 5. Touchdown, Oregon. Pressure in the throw to the end zone. Wow, what a play. Indiana wins it, and they knock off the Oregon Ducks.
Obviously, it's a get-back game, so it's time. The energy has to be at an all-time high.
Tonight's Ram Trucks spotlight on the regular season meeting between these two teams. The only loss of the year for the Oregon Ducks. It was in Eugene. It was a tie game midway through the 4th quarter when Indiana scored the last 10 points of the game. The 2 interceptions in that game, the most Dante Moore has thrown in any game this season, and the Ducks stifled by that terrific Indiana defense in the second half. Just 64 yards of offense for the high-flying Ducks. 64-year-old Curt Cignetti. In his second season at Indiana, he is 25-2. They're the only undefeated team in the country. The 14 wins has shattered the school record of 11 they set last year in his first season as head coach in Bloomington when they went 11-2. They won that 3-7 game at Oregon, won in dramatic fashion at Penn State, went on to beat Ohio State for the first Big Ten title since 1967, and then walloped Alabama in the quarterfinals. Curt Cignetti said, "I told my team I knew we had a much better team than Alabama," and he believes that Oregon is a much stiffer opponent tonight, and they know that by virtue of having played the Ducks back in October. Cignetti's won just about every National Coach of the Year honor, deservedly so.
Don't tighten that thing too much. We'll never get out.
Native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. about to coach the biggest game of his life, and he's a coaching lifer. Grew up on the sidelines. His dad, the coach at Indiana University of Pennsylvania in West Virginia. When Curt Cignetti was a young boy, he said, "I knew in the 3rd grade as a ball boy in Morgantown I wanted to be a coach." And he's on his way to the College Football Hall of Fame when his career is over. The Hoosiers take the field. In terms of the crowd, it'll be a decided home field advantage for Cignetti's team. Greg, you were on the field before the game, estimated it's about 80% Indiana fans here.
And as it's filled in, it might even be slightly higher than that. I mean, they are out in droves, and a lot of IU chants in the concourse. You're making your way to your seats.
Here comes Dan Lanning. At age 39 in his 4th year at Oregon. They are 13-1, started the year 5-0, then suffered that only defeat at the hands of the Hoosiers. They've responded with 8 straight wins, including the 2 victories here in the playoff. 13 wins ties the school record. It's the 3rd time they've done that, including last year when they were the #1 seed in the college football playoff and lost to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Back in 2014, they won 13 games and lost to the Buckeyes in the national championship game in the 1st year of the college football playoff. These fans might be travel weary. They were in Miami for the game in the Capital One Orange Bowl a week ago. That convincing win over Texas Tech, the Big 12 champs. Craig, Dan Lanning said, "We need to put it all together." It's indicative of the season, the way the playoffs gone. In the 1st round, they scored a lot of points against James Madison, and then it was the defense that carried the day against the Red Raiders.
Yeah, he feels like, with the exception of the Rutgers game earlier in the season, they have yet to play a game in which all 3 phases were playing at a high level. Beat Indiana, that's the type of effort it will require.
Lanning has won at least 10 games in each of his 4 seasons in Eugene. He is 48-7 in 4 seasons. Captains making their way to midfield. The front of the line for Indiana, you saw Pat Coogan, a transfer from Notre Dame, who played in the national title game last year for the